Hello and welcome, I'm SimUK, I'm a full-time YouTuber and games critic. Today I'm going to be reviewing Dawn of Man. Is this review for you? Yes, of course it is. Everyone is welcome here and I do respect and appreciate all thoughts and opinions, so I do encourage you to leave me feedback in the comments section below. Command a settlement of ancient humans, guide them through the ages in their struggle for survival. Hunt, gather, craft tools, fight, research new techs, and face the challenges the environment will throw at you. This game from Madruga Works, if that's how you pronounce it, was released on the 1st of March 2019. This was released as a full release, this is not early access, so just bear that in mind as we progress. The price is £16.56 on Steam at the moment with the sale going on. The ordinary price on Steam is £19.49. If you look elsewhere on the internet, you might find it for less. Madruga Works are the same development team and producers of Planetbase, a game I've never heard of, but having looked at it and played this game, it does look really quite interesting. It's been really well received by the Steam community, and it's certainly something I wouldn't mind having a look at myself. The key game features here, obviously as mentioned, are the hunting, the gathering, the expansion and the survival. So the quick review is this. I'll be honest here, I do like the era, these are definitely interesting times, but my initial knee-jerk reaction to this game was not great. On the surface it looked graphically mediocre and seriously lacking in content and depth, and whilst both of these observations are true to an extent, this game is absolutely packed full of challenges, content, and most importantly of all, deep and immersive gameplay, the likes of which I haven't seen for many years. I like the animations, I like the AI intelligence, although making them do what I want them to do is sometimes a bit of a challenge. I even like the animal behaviour, although they do seem rather passive. The tech tree is small and it is limited, but looking at the roadmap, more is set to come in the next few months, and I will be honest, I do like the fact that they want user feedback in order to help guide further development. But that's something that you normally hear from an early access title. So the question is, should this be full release or should it be sold as early access? Well, in all honesty, the game is completely bug-free. Well, the game is almost completely bug-free. Everything seems to work as expected, and I played a solid 4.5 hours and only got halfway through the tech tree. So I think it just about qualifies as ready for release, albeit a little bit shallow on content. The Steam Workshop is already up and running and it has some content in it. It would appear that the devs encourage or maybe even expect that campaign challenges are going to come from the community. I was a little bit worried and concerned about this at first, but I'm glad to hear that the devs are bringing more campaign and challenges in the next couple of months. The game includes seasons, which are done really very nicely. It progresses very well, I do like that a lot. But no night and day cycle, which is a bit of a shame. And whilst each character has a unique set of needs, abilities and restrictions, I believe a lot more could be done in this particular area. Overall though, this is the best gameplay experience I have had for a very long time. And as such, I have no choice but to happily recommend this game to absolutely everybody. It's wonderful fun, you're going to love it. If you want a more in-depth review than this, I suggest you keep watching. The UI is functional and fairly intuitive. I do think that more needs to be done to help locate individuals and or manage those individuals. As it is rather tricky to find the right age and sex to suitably fit a role, and it's even easier to accidentally reallocate an individual, thereby leaving an important task left undone. I am hoping that with the game enhancements that the UI will receive more intuitive and functional controls. The game ships with a tutorial, which is enough to get you up and running pretty quickly. The mechanics of the game are explained fairly well, but certainly you will have to learn on your own how best to manage resources and personnel. I've touched on this already, the graphics for me are just fine. Sure, more could be done, but the animations are, I think, adequate, and when entwined with the gameplay, it all feels pretty nicely knitted together. Some aspects of animation could be smoothed out, but ultimately, everything is clearly what it is meant to be. There is no serious blocky movements, and the fact that animals and humans walk differently when they're sick, tired or injured really does outweigh the importance of how aesthetically pleasing that one bit of animation is. That's not to say I don't like it, I just noticed that some people were critical of it and I wanted to address my thoughts on the matter. I have no issue at all with the game's performance. It was giving me a solid 60 FPS throughout. I can't vouch for a 100 versus 100 player battle though, as I am nowhere near experiencing that. Well, to be fair, I am, but the nomads are still attacking in very small numbers. Perhaps there's an avenue for multiplayer in the future, who knows. The music is nice, I like it, but I do prefer to turn it off, and I find that the in-game audio is perfectly adequate. Perhaps the in-game audio is an area where more variety could be introduced to avoid any repetition, but repetition is not something that I have noticed in the 4.5 hours of gameplay, and neither is repetition. The wild animals found in this game are key, especially at the beginning. I would question their passive nature. Many times I have seen a woolly mammoth running straight through the centre of our camp, and I'd panic only to discover that it is not in any way interested or seemingly even aware of our presence. I do like how you need to manage and evolve food storage and preparation, and how you can trade and focus on your strongest areas as a result. The game includes mining, attacks from nomads and disease, and ultimately death, and whilst there is a religion aspect to the game, there appears to be no burial procedure, or marriage for that matter. Must be a free-for-all, I guess. I believe you can change your key bindings, but in all honesty the game is pretty well designed, and as it is, I felt no need to rebind anything. That's not something that happens often at all. I'll be honest, I haven't really looked, but I believe you can change key bindings. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, I'm just too lazy to go and look. Certainly this game does promote high levels of historical accuracy and therefore realism, and for the likes of me, this easily translates into fun and replayability. The devs, as I've mentioned, have confirmed that more content is coming in the next few months and have asked for user feedback in order to help guide future development direction. Please do feel free to leave your suggestions and ideas in the comments section below, and I will do my absolute best to ensure that the devs get to see it. Dawn of Man has excellent gameplay. It reminds me of how games used to be, with a deep and consistent focus on depth, immersion and attention to detail. There are things I would like to see in the game, a night and day cycle for one, and although the game rewards the settlers for their achievements, I would really like to see more done with the individual characters. For example, I would like to see one character who hunts a lot to be more effective at hunting than anyone else. If this increased level of depth was added to the game, then the UI would also need a slight tweak or perhaps a complete redesign, because one of the only frustrations I had with this game was finding the right man or woman to do the job. This aspect does need improving either way. That is the extent of my negative observations with this game. Sure, some could be critical of the graphics or the audio, but for me the gameplay is the most important aspect, and the graphics and the audio are certainly good enough not to ruin it. That being said, I would quite like to be able to zoom in a little bit more in order to watch the flint being sharpened and the tools being made. I do have some thoughts and ideas for the future, but just to be clear, these are really for the developers, as they have asked for suggestions to improve the game, and they are not necessarily criticisms. The process by which new followers join your camp is all well and good, maybe though it's a little historically unlikely, but it does also feel a little bit like a cop-out, in the sense that each individual does not currently have a personality and therefore a full progression system. I'd like to see this expanded more and just a whole bunch more depth and immersion added to the game in this area. I'll have to go into more detail in another video or perhaps in a written statement to the developers, but I won't go into it too much here. Just that the fact that as a community you can upgrade and enhance by collecting large numbers of sticks or animal hides or whatever, I think you could attribute those values to individuals and make them more effective as individual people rather than as a collective, if you will. I'd like to see a night and day cycle, and I think the animals should be more aggressive, and I'd like to see even more variety there too. As it is today, I think the price on Steam at least is a smidge too high for me. Now that might sound a bit tight-fisted, I'm sure, but the reason I say that is entirely because of the lack of content at release. More is to come, and I'm absolutely certain that with the future improvements and content inclusion from the developers, plus the Steam Workshop content that is sure to follow, this game will soon be an absolute steal at this price. That is, unless the developers go all EA on us. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Ultimately, I recommend this game without any concerns or issues to mention. This is, for me, a must-buy. It's so much fun, it's so enjoyable, and if they develop the game even more, it can only get better because it's already exceptionally good. The main positives for me are the gameplay, the historical accuracy and attention to detail, the ultimate immersion and the sense of fun that this game has given me. I do think the UI needs a bit of tweaking. I think there is a lack of content at release, which I've mentioned, and the no night and day cycle is a bit of a disappointment. I also think the lack of individual personality skill sets is an oversight and something that I'd like to see them develop further. That's a big ask, but it would be nice if they could do it. So what I'd like to see in the next couple of months is the introduction of the night and day cycle, more individual character personalities and skill sets, greater variety of animals, and for them to be less passive, much more in the tech tree, and for the UI to be slightly improved or enhanced. Guys, this is a fantastic game. I am SimUK. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Till next time. Goodbye.